Mic's hot. It's on. Michelle, $5. Thank you so much. Rating myself on the stream. Good to see everybody. Get your coffee. Get your questions. I was gonna bring up something. I wish I didn't do this. Because now I probably won't be able to see. Yeah, it was just some atheist left some stupid comment. I shouldn't have deleted it. Because now I can't read it. It was some critique, obviously, of tag on one of my videos. And obviously, like, I got nothing out of this debate that I didn't already get from Alex Malpass for his Jay Dyer debate. Orthodox apologists take a skeptical position, undermine atheism, which is fair. But then they would say, you don't prove your position. It's like, we do prove our position. What does the matter with you? I mean, it becomes readily apparent that it doesn't matter what you say to these people, they don't want to believe it. And skepticism, they're legitimate questions, and we show how orthodoxy overcomes that. I want to read you real quick. People are always like, how does? Because this came up yesterday or the day before in the Discord. How does orthodoxy overcome? How does it answer the Agrippa's trilemma? So if you don't know, Agrippa was part of the Pyrrhian skeptics. He has a really good skeptical argument called the trilemma. The other question people, and in other words, it's brought up to basically there's like three positions, the trilemma, that you could possibly take, and to justify knowledge, and all of those fail, and therefore it shows we're not in a position to justify that knowledge exists, that we could have it or something like that. And then also the other one is, I mean, there's a lot of like the problem of criterion. There's a lot of skeptical challenges you can bring up, and then people always ask, well, how does orthodoxy solve that? Somebody asks, because in the trilemma, it's like basically you have three possible positions: foundationalism, coherentism, and infinitism. It's basically what you can. And there's problems with each that wouldn't be able to provide justification. As I brought up, trying to remember was a Italian philosopher, epistemologist. Interesting enough, foundationalism is supposed to be proposed to avoid circularity, ends up being viciously circular, and coherentism, which rejects kind of foundationalism and proposes a type of circular coherentism as justification, ends up being the thing it wants to avoid, namely foundationalism, a kind of arbitrary foundation, and then infinitism, which nobody would accept. You just have an infinite amount of reasons that you never get a reason. because you just keep passing the buck. So somebody's, well, what's the Orthodox position? Orthodoxy isn't a position, like, well, I'll tell you what the Orthodox position is. The experience of God. It's divine revelation. It's not a position. The way out of this is a radically different category. And it's not, I put it in, I mean, you can make a sort of kind of inference, right? That, look, none of the autonomous epistemologies and positions work to justify now. So either you're going to have to just be a radical Pyrrhene skeptic, in which you say, there's no way that we have knowledge or we could ever justify it. Or you're going to have to say, there must be a radically different category. There is. It's theonomous epistemology. And it's not, if it's set in contrast to those positions, it doesn't make any sense to be like, yeah, but what's the position? And answer it in the position of the other category that would just show that it was impossible. If there's a way out, it has to be theonomous epistemology. And that's different. So I wrote this note. Where is it? So people always want to, you have to put it in the words in the position that was just shown that's impossible to do that. What are you not getting? I mean, it's a form of kind of idolatry. Like, Turbo so 10 euros. Hello, Father Deacon, God bless. What would be the purpose of horror in the Orthodox world? For example, something like Mandela's catalog. I don't think I've seen that. I mean, I guess if it's done well, the idea of bringing one's mind to the consequences and the reality of evil. Also, I know literary, in terms of literature, the notion of kind of catharsis and stuff like that, which we'll have to watch that, but great question. Oh, let's go, sorry. Let's go back to what I was saying. All right. When people ask, how does Orthodoxy solve the problem of criterion or Agrippa's trilemma or whatever they bring up? What we say is Agrippa's trilemma cannot be overcome with words, systems, autonomous epistemology, and positions. That's the power of the skeptical arguments. So, like I said, you have one or two ways. You either give up and be like, there's no way, knowledge doesn't exist, there's no way to justify that it exists. Or you say, if knowledge is possible, then there must be another category in contrast to what could possibly be offered. I.e., it seems like it's always going to be some variation on foundationalist coherentism and infinitism or something like that. In contrast to what could be said, explained in words or systems, that provides us a way out of Agrippa's skeptical challenges that would otherwise make knowledge impossible. And there is another category. That other category is the apophatic ascent. What is apophatic? The silence the negation of words and all thoughts, and it's an apophatic ascent to the divine. The one who is in a position to not only know and justify that, but the one who's in a position to reveal, who's not bound, right, by the dialectical tensions, the finitude, but the problem with words and systems and things like that. Why? Because he's the one who transcends all words. What it means to be apophatic is there's nothing that stands behind God by which he's conditioned. Not logic, not words, not systems, not positions. So to approach him and to take on, hand it over to a God's eye view, is silence. It's to negate, it's the apophatic approach. And it's humility, to hand over to the one who transcends all words, categories, systems, and positions, who grounds all things. The reason why he's not stuck in the same position, the reason why these things don't apply, these problems, he's the one who actually is in a position to know, because he stands behind the world. All words, systems, he's the one who grounds them. He's the one who sustains them. All things are dependent upon him. He's the one, as St. Paul says, in him we move, live, and have our being. God, because of who and what he is able to not only provide us with the conditions that make knowledge possible. How? Why? He's the one who created them. He created the world. He created us. And he transcends all these. He knows what he created. He's the only one who's in a position to know and justify that and reveal. And he does. He reveals himself, how he created these things, such that we can know and how we can come to know him. Therefore, either Agrippa's trilemma can't be overcome in any way, and knowledge doesn't exist, which means that you can't say that you know what Agrippa's trilemma is, because it's a knowledge claim. Or that Agrippa's trilemma works as a skeptical challenge, because why? That's a knowledge claim. So you just end up on the other side of being apophatic. You have nothing to say. And you have to keep in mind, if you say that we win the debate. Why? Because you forfeited debate, the possibility of debate. In terms of apologetics, defending the faith, we defended it because we basically got you to admit there's no critique of orthodoxy. So even if you become a radical Pyrrhene skeptic, right, you still lose and orthodoxy still wins. Does that make sense? So, if knowledge does exist, then the radical category of justifying, the way of justifying is radically different. So you can't just keep saying, going back to the same problem that we showed is a problem that you can't do. Yeah, but what's I don't see, you're stuck in the same problem. How do you, it's like, no, you're not seeing the radical disjunct between autonomous epistemology and theonomous. So that's why it's a transcendental. If it is possible, if you assume it, this could be the only way. That's how it's resolved. Not in the way that you, well, that's not the way that I want it. You have to answer my questions the way that I say so, even though I can't justify that. So obviously the guy that I booted from that, and I shouldn't have done that because now I can't read the rest of his comment. And it's one of these, I'm always suspicious when it's like just a stupid number account that looks like somebody just created just to, I don't know, who are you? Like, who is this? But part of the argument is to undermine atheism, to show it's impossible. And they're like, well, then you have to prove it by the arbitrary standards. That it's like, I don't have to do a dang thing. But I have. That's exactly what the argument is. And none of these people get the whole accidentalism. Either because they're dumb, I guess. I don't know. They're brainwashed or conditioned, or they just don't want to get it. Like, I mean, that's what it comes down to, right? But I'm always suspicious of any, like, kind of new created account that, like, with just a bunch of numbers. It's not even a name. So that is something. News. 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 That came up. Yeah. I mean, I guess does Agrippa's trilemma refute itself? There might be a way out of. I'm trying to think how to salvage. Because there's. It could be like a reductio. I'm gonna assume that it is possible so that I can understand what the trilemma is actually saying, and then conclude that I don't have any means of justifying that knowledge exists. I think that's a better way to take it, rather than make a positive claim that knowledge doesn't exist, which would be a knowledge claim. Really, the best way to understand Agrippa's trilemma is to say there's no way of justifying that it does. Which is always what I said, I believe atheists know stuff. There's just no way they can justify that knowledge exists. And I think that's something that Agrippa trilemma, so you could say it might exist. Um, but what Agrippa's trilemma shows us, if that's true, that I have no way of justifying that. News of the Nous. Are we not, man? 199 for the grift, yeah. And you could separate it between faculty use versus juxtapository. So I have to use those faculties. But I'm not assuming what I want to prove. I'm using the faculties to see if there's epistemology in an epistemic category. And then I basically conclude from the faculties by which I use, i.e., logic, and that not a positive assertion that knowledge doesn't exist, but an acknowledgement from those three things I have no way of justifying it. I think that's fine. So again, they would say I have to use epistemic statements in terms of a faculty use because I'm conditioned that, like, I can't get outside of making claims. But through the claim that I'm using, I don't think it's self refuting to basically say that to acknowledge I have no way of justifying it. All right, let's see what else. Anyways, so that starts us off for today. Interesting conversation. Um, Dale is 7. Wow, thank you so much. 20 bucks. Thank you, Father. Thank you. Vane tips $3. There's a huge epidemic of people, I'm assuming they are Orientals or Copts, who argue continuously And hypothesis isn't a real word. Do you have any idea why they would? Well, here you go. There's a great. Anything that would. Any argument or word. And by the way, you can define where you can create words. It's not like words exist out that right. We create words all like, especially philosophy. Why? Because there are real realities independent of the words by which we're trying to figure a way of signifying them and bring them into discourse. There's no rule. Where in the Bible does it say you can't? That was a process. Where in the Bible says you can't actually create words to refer to things that are real? I mean, what a dumb argument. And also, isn't that convenient? Anything that would make my position contradict my position or make me wrong, I just deny. How about that? Oh, by the way, all these, they're all a bunch of children. All these Oriental, they're like, and their guy, Agan or Agin, however you pronounce it, I mean, he's literally out of high school. Like, that's the best they have to send. High school kids. And they're all a bunch of like high school kids. They have a mob mentality, right? They all just gang up on and just they're harassers. Like, I mean, I find it great that they reveal their true colors. Dude, this that what's going on. It's like good. People hide. People hide who they really are. Oh, they're so nice. It's like the Mormons. And the good thing about Jay, he's developed a polemic and rhetoric. I call it the mean rhetoric to expose their con that they're hiding, that there's serious moral flaws with these. With a lot of people, and so it's quite useful. Yeah, Lizzie. Can you imagine what it's going to be like on Judgment Day for these people when they face Christ and all is in all and all is revealed that you hate my mother? I mean, think about it. Yeah, exactly. Your neighbor. They're a lot like the true genuine Orthodox and the Schismatics. They pretend to be nice and be like, "Oh, I'm Orthodox." We've had people in here that it looked like they were like trying to learn something, just asking general questions, and then it they get saltier and saltier, and their true character is revealed, and it's like it's a trap. Like it's the same thing with the These people stole our vanity link on the Orthodox Christian Discord server. Why? To make so that they got. I mean, they stole it. That's crazy. So that people thinking they were going into our Orthodox server would go into their servers and then they would brainwash them into their heresy. I have a friend, Father John. He's grew up with He's actually, a priest now that serves at St. Sophia's Cathedral in Los Angeles. And I remember before he was a priest, him saying, how can you love Christ if you don't love his mother? If you hate his mother, you hate Christ. You can't separate the. Um, I mean, if you use the R word, and I don't mean retarded, that's a virtue. If you use the R word, like, you've already lost the debate. I mean, we know why that word was created, right? It's to be honest, it's anti-whiteism. You're being taught to hate your own people. I think every group of people, every ethnicity should have the right to preserve self-determination of their own people and their nation, their history. I like it. I mean, I would hate, for example, to see Japanese culture destroyed and the Japanese taught to hate themselves. Um, that's a good kind of sense of diversity. It's like, yeah, I don't want it. Like, there's good things in each ethnicity and culture, and of course, there's bad things too. But like, just be nuanced. But if you're using the R word, that only applies to white descendants of European. It's like, that's terrible. Like, what a this is totally unorthodox. Now, don't make your race, ethnicity, and history and nation an idol, right? But it's not an either or. Like, well, the Bible says there's no, you know, neither Greek nor Jew anymore, neither male or female, right? All right, that's talking in the sense of dignity and salvation. If you're gonna make that argument, like you're saying, there's no actual biological distinction between male and female. Come on, let's get real. But don't make it an idol, right? Like, it's a third, fourth thing. It's like, it's not like, well, I've transcended all. I'm now a Gnostic. It's fine. It's fine to be proud of your nation. Like, what's a third, fourth thing, right? You put the kingdom first, obviously, but nobody should be using that R word. I mean, it's destructive, it's diabolical, and it was created to destroy a group of people. Just like the online philosophy conference that we had on Monday. I'll just pull up something too to go over. The use of human rights. There's certain words as Orthodox we shouldn't use because they're created by groups and philosophies and ideologies that are anti-Orthodox. That's my point. And let's see if I can pull this up. One second. Here it is. Human rights. Father Capodistrius presented this. This notion of human rights comes out of an 18th century Enlightenment view. And he lists what these are. Human rights are considered to be self-evident. We already got a problem with that. Natural, unalienable truths, accessible to all through enlightened reason, independent of religious traditions. So it's already set in contrast, and you should read about, if you haven't, one of my mentors, a late reader, Tristan Engelhardt, After God, where it talks about. But you have to understand too that that's already removed from scholastic and medieval notions of natural law. Because natural law, for people like the Thomists and scholastics and stuff like that, was at least based in real essentialism, real essences and natures and stuff like that. So when the 18th century, when the Enlightenment comes about, because prior to the Enlightenment was modernity, they've already rejected and abolished real essences, forms. And so they don't have a natural law theory the way that the Enlightenment thinkers do. So when they talk about natural, there is no nature, right? All this is nominalism. And that's why they just redefine these terms. So in some sense, it's parasitic. It's like, it's using the vocabulary of the earlier kind of natural law theorists, like the Thomists and scholastics and stuff like that, means something totally different. And that's why they say, well, it's just defined through enlightened reason, law, rules, but it's defined, you have to contra religious traditions. It's a rebellion against not only God's created order by rejecting the previous thoughts of natural law theorists of scholasticism. It's also specifically designed to secularize and contradict Christianity. Number two, these rights constitute the only legitimate foundation for political authority. So notice how that's changed as well. So rights language, if you ask people what they mean by rights, obviously it's like, well, it's what positive law is, what political authorities. But notice, unlike antiquity, legitimate authority is both natural, right? Natural hierarchy, like kingship, and also divine as well. Well, that's why they separate that. No. Now we have 18th century Enlightenment rights, set in contrast to not only nature, but God. And now that's the only legitimate authority. So it's a Promethean rebellion against God. It replaces, as Father Capodistrius says, Christian monarchy with anthropocentric republican governance. True. Number three, human rights represent universal moral principles that transcend cultural and historical context. They are morally binding for all nations and people. That's where, like, you're going to get the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights. It comes from that. So it's thoroughly satanic and anti-Christian. That's what you have to see. Number four, the shift from heteronomous divine command to autonomous, I'm glad he used that word, autonomous human reason. Do you see how this all comes back to the tag? And then that's supposed to be what? That's supposed to be the liberalism. We talk about classical liberalism and then, even contemporary, like free, Libra. Free from what? Humanity's liberation from the barbarous religious superstition, right? That's why we're the enlightened man. We're the men of science and reason. Number five, rights language embodies an apodictic moral certainties that require no external validation beyond their rational self-evident. So, well, it's just self-evident, you see. I don't have to defend it because it's self-evident. We even have this in our founding documents, unalienable, self-evident. These principles are self-evident. It's all 18th century Enlightenment language. The period, the mid-20th century, so this is where we're talking about where I just mentioned the UN post-World War II view. Father Capodistrius says human rights derive legitimacy not from, so now it's changed, right? So each thing is a negation and rejection and abolition of the previous, while still using, and then what I brought up in the conference, it's demonic. Why? Because it's parasitic. It doesn't actually create anything. It's not real. It's not life-giving. It's like what the demonic does. It's parasitic and vampiric. That it has to suck the blood out of things that are living. It has to use the language of previous systems because they can't create anything. It's demonic. And then it's illusory. It takes the real and takes the language, and because it can't create, it presents something unreal, unreality, which really is sin, a movement away from actually being and goodness and what's real. But it has to, there's a con in there. It has to present it as if it were. And so you get a further move in this in the mid 20th century. Number one, human rights derive legitimacy not now, so it's not enlightenment, not from rational self-evidence, but from traumatic conscience of mankind responding to the World War II atrocity, right? So now it's just concerned with power at this point, and it's going to appeal on well, look at all the bad stuff that happened, and so it's irrational now. It's defined, human rights language is now defined in terms of the irrational, the emotive, and for the purpose of getting control of you. And that's where the R word comes in, right? I mean, just think about Trotsky. Why did he, whether he was the first one to use that or not, he's obviously the first one to kind of popularize and appropriate that emotively, because he hated certain groups of people and wanted that to be destroyed. And so this kind of Marxian weaponization of language is that's what I'm saying. Don't use it. Don't use those words from the enemy. Number two, the concept of human dignity provides a deliberately flexible, doctrine-free foundation allowing diverse philosophical interpretations. So it's very postmodern. Now words aren't intended to convey meaning. They're abstract. They're purposely ambiguous and flexible. Why? Because the 20th century is not concerned about truth, rationality, the things of the former ages. It's concerned with power and manipulating you. And it's not concerned with meaning, beauty, the transcendentals. So what you want to purposely do is keep words ambiguous so you can pack in whatever you want. Why? For the purpose of manipulating and controlling people. This is what's going on with these people, the OO and these other pearl clutchers. You like, oh, it's me. Like, they don't actually care. They're using emotions and pretending like, well, I'm holy and virtuous and this is mean and blah blah blah, not because they care about virtue and truth and brotherhood and unity, but because they hate you and they want to control and manipulate and see you destroyed. So they mask that in kindness and all this. It's sociopathic and Machiavellian. It's the dark triad traits. Let's give a perfect example. All the Dems and liberals that were flying Ukrainian flags in their bios, right? Oh, I'm compassionate. I feel so bad for these poor Ukrainians and the evil Russians destroying their country and way of life. And do they really? Have you seen any of them say anything about this poor Ukrainian refugee that was killed on the train or subway, whatever it was? Now they're all silent. Does that not just show to you Democrats and liberals are evil? Like, they don't care. They pretend to be compassionate, care about the poor. They run on that platform. They don't care. Like, that's a perfect refutation of They have the dark triad traits. They want to manipulate. They want to win. They don't care about people. Love is love. Like, do you think they really care about the LGBT community? They don't care about. But they use that language. And, just as it says, they keep the language deliberately vague and flexible and doctrine free, so we're not dogmatic. See, I'm open minded to all, but I'm not committed to see, dogma's bad. Doctrine is bad. That's what Father Capodicius was saying. Number 3, universal validity is maintained while acknowledging the limits of abstract reasoning, creating space for postmodern elements. Yes, as we just talked about. I mean, you see this, and yeah, reasoning is white supremacy. I mean, literally have professors teaching logic and reasoning. This is Western culture, and it's what do you call it? It's what's the word I'm looking for? Just blanked on. It's the oppressor language. It's the call. This is colonizing. This is literally what they're teaching in college. So part of postmodernity is then to, again, in this kind of Hegelian dialectic, and like it's written in Marxism too. So you negate, and then you negate the negation, and negate the right. You keep critiquing. So even in Marxism too, you know that communism is actually then negated. So capitalism's negated through communism, but communism is not the end stage for the Marxist. Because in the materialist dialectic, that has to be negated too. So this is why you see in this present age a critique of abstract. So, and you have to interpret everything in the dialectic: the oppressor and oppressed, colonizer and colonized, right? And so, if the previous, in the ideologies in the previous age in the Enlightenment was reason, well, you have to use, well, that's white supremacy. So you see that has to be critiqued, and it leaves room for the creating a space for postmodern elements. Number 4, global acceptance requires a pluralistic foundations where different cultures can endorse rights while maintaining distinct underlying philosophies. So you got elements of relativism in there. Number 5, in the mid-century, the UN post-World War II, international intervention in sovereign territories finds justification through universal human rights obligations transcending national boundaries. Okay, so far so good. Then we're going to go into the 21st century. The student donates $5. Thank you. Are we not men? Donuts $1.99. The demons are everywhere. Yes, they are. Yes, we count by division. All right, I'm gonna get back to the conversation you guys are going through, but I'm gonna finish this up. All right, so far so good. 21st century progressive and secular view. This is what Tristan Englehart's talking about. If the Enlightenment was against Christianity, we live in a period now that it's after God. That's kind of one of the theses of the book. Number 1, 21st century progressive second view. Human rights possesses the capacity to progress morally over time, with recent iterations representing superior moral achievement. So here's where you get progressivism, right? Rights language serves as a vehicle for implementing radically post-Christian morality while preserving the familiar legal terminology. Number 3, the baked-in contradiction between intangible rights and their malleability reflects the postmodernist culture's disregard for philosophical coherence. So it's like, these people don't care. And, I'm picking on the Democrats and liberals and left because whatever problems the right, and yes, Orthodoxy does transcend left or right, but as Father Turbo had said, the royal path is not the middle between them. That's why Father Turbo says, once you transcend that, you follow the way of the cross, the royal path, you're going to look like, to other people, like you're right wing. And somebody said, oh, you could look liberal too. I'm like, that I haven't found, and I think there's reasons for that. Because I think there's elements in the right. So this is one of the problems, and this is why Father Turbo said the royal path's not the middle, that it's like, there's an intellectual laziness. When people do agree with Father Turbo and all of us who say, yes, Orthodoxy transcends the dialectic, they think, well, they're both bad. They're both equally bad. Well, that's not true. That's why he said it's the royal path's not the middle, that they're both. That's why you get the phenomenon when you do take the royal path, like, you get accused of being a right wing. Why? Because the left and right are not equally bad. Even though they're wrong in different ways. I think that you would find more elements, and what the right holds, that's closer to orthodoxy than the left. Why? Because everything I'm saying, that is the liberal. That is where, Democrat, like, that is their framework. That's not present as much in the right. That is not there. It's influenced. The right comes out of, classical liberalism too, and that's why we can critique it. But it doesn't mean they're equally bad. They're the same. And you can see that with point 2, or point 3, excuse me. Liberals and like, what did I just bring up? They don't care about that it's contradictory, that they were all flying and post Ukrainian flags on their bios, and they care nothing for this poor Ukrainian girl who was killed, right? Because that goes against their narrative. If they bring that up, oh, well, now we've got a problem. So they don't care because reason and truth is white supremacy. Like, that's the oppressor, that's the colonizer, and we can't have that. So they embrace contradiction. And also, as Jeb had brought up in class, reading about Marxism too, Marxism embraces contradictions. It's material dialectic. So they have no problem of manifesting these things in the material world and in discourse, because that is their methodology. That's their hermeneutics. Heuristics. Number 4, secular activists. And that's why you don't tend to see activism, right, and protest the way that you in the right that you do in the left. Really rare. But secular activists pragmatically deploy both Enlightenment universals and postmodern relativism dependent. You don't really see that. So if the right does protest and gets involved in activism, it doesn't employ those principles. Again, I'm not condoning right-wing politics. I have critiques of it. I'm just showing you they're not the same. And the royal path is not the middle between the left and right. The left wing, like, embraces all of this stuff that we're talking about. Like, they incarnate these principles more than any other group, is what I'm trying to say. Even though the right is still influenced and comes out of that too and can be critiqued for that. Does that make sense? Because people, I'm going to bring this up, and people are like, oh, you're a right wing Mac. I'm like, no, I'm not. I have plenty of critiques of. That's not a dialectic. If you're not for this, you're a terrorist. You're a terrorist. If you're not left wing, you're right. You're a right wing politician. No, what's the matter with you? Number 5, new rights encompassing sexuality. See, again, you're not going to find this in the right. Apart from a few, what do they call them? Log cabin Republicans, homos, and it's kind of a rare phenomenon, and there's reasons why. New rights encompassing sexuality, gender identity, lifestyle choices emerge through the same grammatical framework as traditional human rights. Okay. In light of that, you can see that it's the enemy of Orthodox Christianity. So don't use the language. That's the thing. Don't use human rights. The Orthodox Christian view is that morality flows from personal obedience to the living God who establishes the I-thou relationship. What is your name? I am who am. Right? So it establishes a hierarchy and a covenant and a personal relationship through the personal pronoun of who. Not from autonomous reason and abstract principles. And I'm going to talk about this, when I'm writing my paper. And I think I finally got a title for when I present in Florida. What's the title? From Athens to Apophaticism, where do we find knowledge? How about that? On the Athens and Jerusalem conference. Is to show the failures that we do not ground our knowledge, morality, or duties, legal or moral or otherwise, in terms of autonomous use of abstract principles. We're anti-enlightenment. Number 2, biblical commands. Genesis 2, the 10 Commandments. Ground morality in salvation. Now that's different when we say command theory. It's different than what in ethics is known as command theory, but we have a type of command theory. We just got to distinguish it from, and it's in terms of salvation history and divine human relationship, in terms of personhood, and requiring trust and faith rather than abstract rational comprehension. Number 3, human autonomy, the desire to be like God and legislate one's own moral law represents the fundamental transgression against the created order and dependence on God. 4, the mystery inherent in divine commandments necessitates trust rather than understanding. Right? Breaking the solipsistic circle of autonomous reason through obedience to spiritual authority. God bless you, Father Capitistris. This is a great. 5, human rights must be rejected. The R word, not retarded, but the other one, must be rejected as an alternate moral foundation, since genuine morality derives from God's commandments and sacred history, not 18th century, 20th, 21st century rights language. Not secular human dignity. We say all people. The Orthodox Christian believes all people and all sexes, and we're not going to use the word gender anymore. So there's another one, don't use. First of all, we're not nouns. Right? Male and female is a sex. So avoid gender language. That's another weaponized word. 6, the historical emergence of rights from within the Enlightenment anti-Christian context, which is exactly what I said, renders them inherently suspicious from an Orthodox perspective outset. That includes the R word, accuse the G word, gender, and human rights language. Don't use it. It's all over the internet, right? The springboard for this was the conversation that was happening in the chat about between the OO and J and stuff like that, and it's like, Orthodoxy condemns racism. No, it does. Ethnophilism is not racism. Do you understand what ethnophilism is? And don't use that language. There's even a liberal professor who I heard about forbids his students from using any of the ism words. It's not helpful. You have to actually explain what you mean and can't depend on these satanic anti-Christian words that are brought in to destroy you in groups of people and make you hate yourself and to destroy Christianity. Don't use them. Like, what does it matter with you people? Can you not explain what you're without using that word? No, because you're brainwashed and conditioned by the system who hates you. Um, 7, sacred history and divine intervention provide the proper Christian framework, contrasting the top-down rational morality systems that characterize human rights discourse. Also, don't use social injustice. It's socioeconomic. Stop using that language. It's weaponized. Again, it's created to destroy Christianity, to get people to hate themselves. Christians must distinguish between directing human rights as a philosophical foundation for law while prudently navigating positive law requirements. So you're required, like there is a notion of rights within law and stuff like that, but carefully navigate. Don't use certain kind of language. I always say use duties. There's a normative aspect to secular law, positive law, in which you have, as an Orthodox Christian, a duty to preserve and obey those laws. Isn't that easier? Just use duties. Human rights, number 9, operate at different legal levels. Philosophy, law, foundational text, legislation requiring Orthodox rejection of the alleged philosophical validity, which we just did, while recognizing St. Paul's command, obey the authorities. Isn't that what I said? Romans 13. 10, the Christian understanding of morality is radically, in the etymological sense, different from the human rights philosophy, creating incremental worldviews. So that's why we can't have pluralism, a pluralistic society, right? These groups of people, now again, the solution is not a top-down, right? But we're making a philosophical critique. They're your enemy. Like, you can't, these worldviews are incommensurable. To have a universal secular ethics, a bioethics state, or something like, and what other things that we talk about doesn't work. They're incommensurate. That's what Tristan Engelhardt says too. All right, questions about that? Hush Tones 199 have been oppressed by yeah. Hush Tones gives also 499. My wife and I would be baptized my further. God bless you. You and other clergy and Jay were super helpful in the process. Thank you. The Lord preserve you. Yeah, I brought this up too, and I can't even pronounce your Ulfrichstrom cloak. Roots of Orthodox, that guy running wasn't even a catechist. Yeah, he wasn't Orthodoxy. I gotta talk to my brother priests. I keep finding good priests, good guys, friends, dear friends of mine. They keep going on that, and they just don't know. It's like you got to be more careful whose channels you go. Like, feel free to reach out to me. I know, being on social media and the internet and having apologetics online and stuff like that, who these people are. The problem with it was they used roots of Orthodoxy and was not transparent that he was not actually Orthodox, that he was a papist. And then what? He profited on it. People probably, well, I know, not probably, people donated money to him thinking he was Orthodox. Now he can make that right and take some of that money that you got and contribute it to an Orthodox charity or a parish or something like that. You can make that right. But if you kept that, like, you in a sense stand condemned. Cleaved Antiquity. 99 cents. All right, man. Metal Stop Flows $5 based. Yes, thank you. Zane, have you heard Zach report you? Yes, I was on in the chat in his channel yesterday. We're actually friends, and years back, maybe like 6, 7 years ago, we actually taught a class together at the Vatra, the Romanian Episcopate, at the high school camp, and he's great. I've always liked him. Great thinker. Support his work. If you haven't seen his channel, go over there and subscribe. Roots of Everything. Great thinker. And so, yeah, thank you for bringing him up. Also, don't forget my dear friend and brother, Dr. Nathan Jacobs, and his channel. If you haven't checked that, he's doing some great stuff. Excellent philosopher. You missed one or two, what? Super chat? Think so. Student donated $5. Thank you. I read Are We Not Men? 199. Are We Not Men? Another 199. We will win though, no problem. Hush Tones 499. Hush Tones 199. Thank you. Metal Stop Flows $5. And who else did I miss? Cleaved Antiquity, I mentioned that. I don't think so. I think I got it all right. Let's see. Oh, holy smokes. Noah Strong. I did miss it. $50. Wow, thank you. Thanks, Father, for all you do. Baby's due next 2 weeks. Home stretch, here you go. God bless you. May the Lord bless the birth of your child. Oh, wow, I can't thank you enough. That's great. Okay, that's... I think I got all of them. Did I miss any other? Ah. Oh, that just came in. Interesting. Okay. Wow, that's... Thank you so much. I can't tell you how much, lost some money over some various issues. Some money from the conference too, and so to recoup some of those finances is really helpful. Thank you. Yeah, and Jay had a good point too. I mean, God, if we go back to the 80s and 90s. All right, I'm gonna be very careful when I say this. This is not an endorsement of bullying. There's obviously things in which parents and authorities should step in. But there's also, before it gets too extreme and stuff like that and dangerous, there's a positive kind of element when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s of bullies and getting beat up and made fun of, is that, especially for young men, we had to deal with it. We had to harden up, as Jay had mentioned, and I hated bullies. So I'm saying this, but they were kind of necessary in some sense for my development. Why? Because it caused me to go inside of myself and look, for example, I don't like people taking advantage of, especially the most innocent people. But that allowed me to basically stand up to them, and I fought bully. Like, I remember there was one guy, and I was like in fifth grade. I think he was in sixth grade, and I was sick and tired of it, and I had to stand up, and I got beat up. But as Jade said, had the same encounter too. He left me alone after, um, and I grew. Like, I grew into becoming tougher and being able to deal with insults, and even though bullying's bad and people picking and beating, like, there's some sort of necessary element where I don't think it's good that we create a culture where, like, it's not even tolerant. I almost think, like, for example, it's a real evil, like, just like God allows certain evils for our own good rather than abolishing them. And I think that we've this soft language, you can't offend anybody, everybody's right, um that bullying's completely, like, no element of it is left whatsoever. You can't tell jokes anymore. And remember what I said about moving into the future. um there will be no humor. That's a sign of the decay of society. You're not allowed to tell jokes, and you're not allowed to be mean, right? And all of this goes back to that language that I was saying. Why? Because they really care about? No. Because they make you weak and effeminate so they can control you and destroy you. That's why. Why do you think the R word was created by, or, if he didn't create it, he was certainly the one that popularized it and weaponized it, was Trotsky, to make Europeans hate themselves and become weak and destroyed. That's, yeah. They're all 14, 15. Toughen up and deal with it. And quit crying. That's what all these, just crying like little bit. And, you know, not retarded, but racism. Did the whole stream on why you shouldn't use certain words. Retard you can use. That's a good R word. The other one you shouldn't. Now, in some sense, I have compassion for the Lord, forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. They're children. Like, that's how children act. Like, they cry and whine and show. Well, first of all, I don't think it's wrong to insult your enemy and people who hate you. The fathers do it. Have you seen what they called heretics? If you come in and start a fight and start doing vicious stuff, right, and the kind of behavior, yes, insults are actually merited. Like, there's nothing wrong. And there is a distinction between jokes and insults. But, like, you have no. Yeah, whitewash tombs. Yeah, V. Scott, grown adults doing a little name calling is the norm. It's not a big deal, just some picking on good for kids, teaches conflict resolution. Yeah. I don't want yeah, like I said, I imagine it's kind of like parents and what they let their kids go. Like, there's times they step in. What they don't do, what good parents don't do, is create a postmodern culture where uh, everything's just niceties and they control them and psyop them into, because it never teaches them conflict resolution. It never teaches them to harden up and stuff. Good parents sometimes lets their child fall down, but they know the right time when, like, you've gone too far, we're stepping in. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the same with teachers and the law and like, yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying, and it's acknowledging that, yeah, it's not good, but again, God allows evil insofar as for us to undergo it, insofar as He can bring out a greater good. So not only parents must do this and realize, yeah, my kid's gonna go through a bad thing. Um, I was just watching a movie with John C. Riley. It's actually really interesting. I gotta finish it. What was the name of that movie? It was hilarious. It's a comedy where it's about, the two parents, sorry, the two groups of parents. One parent's kid bullies and hits the other kid with a stick and stuff like that, which is extreme. Like, so it brings it to, it's like, obviously has to be addressed. And maybe I'll just look up on IMDb. You got to watch this. It's really cool. But a lot of these themes kind of come up, and you see that problems in the parenting when they're arguing between. So it's really kind of funny. But let's see, John C. Riley, and then it's the other guy that we all know from what is this? Like, I love the actor. He's so funny. All right, 1 second. Where is the filmography? Are you kidding me? Am I in the wrong John C? Is there another John C. Riley? There has to be. So frustrating. I can't find. All right, I can't find. Anyways, yeah, it takes discernment and virtue to know the difference. Like, when it goes to a different level, that's just comes from. Is it Carnage? Is that the? Is that the movie? Yes. Wow, that was 2011. Oh, it's a Roman Polanski film. Um, Christopher Waltz. I love that guy. Is just such a great. But it shows like like absurdities. Like there's a lot of good themes in, kind of making fun of. You still crying about? I mean, Cloud Frog. This like exactly what we're talking about. Like, grow up. Physician, heal thyself. Focus on yourself. Like, you're obviously, if I offer spiritual advice, you're being distracted. If it was wrong, Jay's under the clergy advisory board. He'd be contacted by the clergy advisory board. What we're not going to listen to is a moral assessment from somebody. I don't even know if you're Orthodox, but how old are you? That's why I always tell people, like, yeah, I do stuff wrong. I'm not going to be corrected and lectured by you late. Like, I have a spiritual father, I have a priest, that I confessor, that I have clergy advisory board and clergy friends that have that job. So you can focus on your own sins and working on as Saint Nikolai Veloromovic so beautifully pointed out. Let me get the quote real quick. Help me, my God, to conquer the world within myself. You can work on that. You can stop pointing at everybody else, because when you point at everybody else, you have three fingers pointing back. And you're not a moral, spiritual authority to have, like, to say that stuff. We have some. It'd be different. And the fact that we're defending heretics, I mean, this is insane. Like, we just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear about you crying. And spiritual advice, work on yourself. Stop getting distracted by stuff. All right, well, let's go to other questions, other news. End the conversation. How about that? Isn't that cool when I can use my authority? B. Scott donates $2. Thank you. Isn't it cool being the boss? End the conversation. I'm like the parent. End the conversation. We're not having it. Oh, he's watching himself. Exactly what children say. I hate you. You're so mean. That's literally what that's what I said. Like, I'm trying to be compassionate. It's like, they're children. Like, watch this. One last chance. End the conversation. Do you want to get banned? On the boss, on the parent. Oh my gosh. Hold on a second. I've never had more problem with students than this one university I teach. Like, I was just bringing it up with professors here. Lord, give me patience. I don't have it with Carroll College students. It's the other. Oh, this is an interesting one. Okay, so I want to answer this. Anyways, let me tell you what the issue is. I have an asynchronous course that I teach at a university that's not here in Montana. Um, I give announcements because I can't meet in person. There's no live lecture. That's what asynchronous means. I have to provide videos and then announcements, instructions. Here's how you navigate through the Canvas course, blah, blah, blah. I have no other way of communicating with them. I can't call them up. There's no in person. So they have to read the announcement. So what do I get? All week, questions that I've answered in the announcements. I can't find the videos. I can't find the recordings. I can't find the textbook. What do you do? I'm responding, please. I try to be poignant and short without being rude and be like, please read the announcements. All the questions are answered in the announcements. I've never experienced, and I even taught asynchronous courses at Fullerton College. I've never experienced people just the most simple directions and reading announcement. They get announcements that can't read and follow, like the most basic. They're so lost. Now, it could be something as I'm not going to experience that here in Carroll College because I'm in person. So maybe it's a general phenomenon that's occurring. I just saw that some statistic that 75 or 85% of Zoomers have their parents fill out their job applications. Walk them through how to choose courses at college. Can you believe, like, is that what's going on? It's like the the parents did them a disservice and they never learned anything. So they're just now they're thrown in a class that have never developed any sort of independence whatsoever, and they're totally lost. Just like they can't even read the most simple instructions. That's like literally an announcement on this topic was sent to you. I'm just flabbergasted. I don't, as an educator and a professor, I don't know how to reach these kids. Like, how do I help them if that's the problem? Or I blame the parents. Yeah, which is my generation, Generation X, that probably did this. Oh wow, let me call my mom. You're an adult, sir. Yeah, and we talked about um the purposeful infantilization of young adults and keeping them as children. Here's another one that's interesting. I hope you're doing well. I'm reaching out in regard to two videos assigned for class. I understand their importance, but I wanted to share that I'm finding it quite challenging to engage with this format, especially given that each video is over an hour long. When I initially enrolled in the course, I was expecting an in-person format. Well, and I recognize that changes happen. Well, it wasn't changed. That's what an asynchronous. However, I'm struggling to absorb the material effectively through extended lecture recordings. At this point in the semester, switching out of the class is no longer, so I'm hoping we might be able to discuss alternative ways for me to better grasp the content, whether that's supplemental resources, shorter assignments, summaries. Another approach you might recommend. Difficult question, huh? I truly want to succeed in the course. Good student, though. I mean, that they're we're honest and courageous enough to actually show the struggling. My thoughts, just brainstorming. I'll have to think more about it before I write the student back. Recorded lectures are supplemental. The only thing that's necessary is that you read the textbook. If you could do the entire course just with this. That's why I say lectures are supplemental. They're helping you in case you're like, oh, I want to hear more about what's said or go through the exact, have somebody guide me through. Also, because it's asynchronous, you don't have to show up at a specific time. My intuition is to suggest break it up into smaller pieces. Structure your week and be like, because they are over an hour long, but that's what a lecture is. Now, that's probably different, obviously, to maintain the attention span through, on screen versus in a, a recorded lecture versus in person. I get it. But I think that's so, like, there's nothing that obligates you. I have to sit through the entire, why not just break it up? By the way, that is a normal lecture. Like if in person is an hour, it's supposed to be hour 30 minutes, right? 2 hour and 30 minutes equals a 3-unit course, which is what most courses are. And typically that's divided into 2 days, an hour and a half. One day, for example, I teach on Tuesday, Thursdays, an hour and a half Tuesday, an hour and a half on Thursday. There are some classes and it's much more difficult where it'll be one class a week and it's 3 hours. That's hard. That's hard to maintain. I've actually taught classes a 3 hour, when I was at Fullerton College, a 3-hour course. By law, it's required that for every hour and a half, you get a 15-minute break. So lectures, that means each lecture is an hour 15 minutes. If it's one class, it's a 2-hour and 30-minute class, and you have to be there for the whole time. But if it's pre-recorded, it's an asynchronistic. You don't meet in person. There's no live lectures, Zoom lectures or something like that. There's no obligation that you have to drone on through an hour and 15-minute lecture. Break it up. If it's hard to absorb the material because the length, isn't that the solution? Or do you think the student's just saying the medium makes it difficult? They're saying they find it quite challenging to engage with the format, which makes me think the medium, especially, so it's an addition, that's over an hour. But what else can you do? Again, it's not required. If it doesn't help you, don't watch it. That would be my suggestion. No, I don't mean to say that in a rude sense, but I would think the course, it's not, the introduction to ethics is not a particularly difficult philosophy class. I would think that you could manage that without ever going to lecture, just reading the textbook and answering the study questions, taking the quizzes and stuff like that. What are your thoughts? What do you guys think? Now okay, yeah, you read the textbook, exactly. Gotta get, if you attended in-person lectures and never read the textbook, and any of my classes, no matter if they're intro or kind of upper division, upperclassmen class. So there's no way. There's absolutely no way that you would pass the class or understand what's being said. Oh, this came up in epistemology class before. I want to talk to you guys about. Here's another interesting topic. The conversation actually came up before. It's come up with a parishioner of mine, and I saw it's come up in the chat here, so I want to address it. Somebody said their degree is virtually worthless. And does that mean that, I'll have to figure out what that means, but does it mean that going to college is worthless? Now, I'm a big proponent of, getting in the workforce, electricians, I don't think that everybody has to go to college. I really like internships and stuff like that. Yeah, I was just clarifying. But something was brought up yesterday in the epistemology class. It was T.J. Carroll. None of us should delude ourselves. Higher education, all of public education, and then higher education college is a mess. It's a cesspool. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty much a brainwashing machine.
Becomes inherently problematic. And then when you add to that, right, that there are certain modes of specific sexual activity within this, and of course I don't have to be terribly graphic here, but that involve, violence to the body, right, things that can be physically detrimental and harmful to the body. You now have sort of these compounding reasons why you've moved into a mode of sexuality that is contrary to the order of nature. And so in this sense, what you're going to have inevitably is you're going to have a natural law assessment that says, look, based on, the order of nature, providence, and natural law that follows from that, this is evidently something that's contrary to the order of nature, and rational beings should be able to discern that, understand that, and not engage in them. And so natural law too is going to recommend saying like, hey, step away from that. Now, what about divine command? Now, this is the one that I think, again, culturally people presume most Christians are, even though historically speaking, Christianity has largely not been divine command theory. As I said, William of Ockham and the Nominalists generally were suspected of heresy because this is so divergent from Christian ethics. Christian ethics, East and West, had largely been realist, providentialist, natural law in orientation. And so the idea that basically Christians have no reason for opposing homosexuality other than, that they've got this book that they think God gave them and it says not to do it, that's nonsense, right? Historically speaking, that's nonsense. Now, maybe there are some, Protestant fundamentalist Americans who are familiar with historical Christianity.
It was Nathan Jacobs. What happens if I accidentally click on? Forgive me. I thought I was looking for something online that I accidentally clicked the wrong YouTube, and I clicked on the Nathan Jacobs, and if you even click on the window, it starts it back up. I don't understand. Sorry, forgive me. It was Dr. Nathan Jacobs. I was listening when I was... All right, let me rewind. We acknowledge the real problems in higher education, even in the public schools and lower education. It's filled with liberals and these ideas that we just went over, that it's like has no place in the university and in lower education. It's basically a brainwashing institution, yes. What advantages is it? Should the whole thing just be shut down? Well, what's the alternative? Self-education. And we've seen the product of that through the advent of the internet. Now, the internet does not provide knowledge. It just provides information. Most of it bad and incorrect and erroneous. But if you're ignorant, right, How do you know what stuff? You don't have an infinite amount of time. You don't have a correct heuristic because you don't have knowledge of what I like and how a methodology. How do you know what stuff to read and what stuff not to? How do you know how to divide up your time? You don't. Furthermore, the internet is the great equalizer. It's like death. You get anything from this lecture, the internet's death. It's anti-hierarchical. And you see this with the OO, and even, people in the EO. It doesn't matter if you're 14, 15 years old. Everybody gets an equal say, and you have to respond to every single argument. Credentials, authority, hierarchy doesn't matter anymore. The 14, 15-year-old heretic is just as equal as the professor, the clergy, the whoever. They are isolated, so it's egotistical. I choose what I want because I have the internet. What information I choose my own education. Now, what's the general, okay, there might be, as a parishioner brought up, they have a friend who was self-educated and doesn't seem to have a problem. Like, okay, a miracle. Exception to the rule. Let us not make the mistake of an exception to the rule making it the rule, the general rule. What do you think, the product, generally speaking, is of such a culture? People are dumber, more arrogant, cannot perform, cannot think correctly, can't ask the right questions. And as an educator, as a professor, and I've been teaching 15, 20 years, I've watched. I get new students every semester, every year. I have watched everybody get dumber and dumber. More helpless, more narcissistic, and ultimately unteachable. A know-it-all, and this is what happens in egotism, right? If you educate yourself, and credentials and the system of education doesn't matter anymore, then you can't be taught because you know it all. How can you teach somebody something new if they know it all? That's the general product of... So no matter how bad the university system and education is, it still seems to be the preferred prescribed, because what's the other alternative? Chaos and disaster. That's just... I can't have that. Furthermore, I think something good about, no matter how bad the professors or the teachers or the educators are, there's an objective rubric where it's like, I know you did this many hours. I know that you took these classes, that you had to read at least a minimum of. Each individual, the university and the education system as a whole, is fallible. Doesn't mean you're going to be good. However, it's a good objective kind of rubric and litmus test to be like, well, at least I can verify there's a certificate. They had to go through a formal sort of education. At least I know they did that. And that shows you, even though they're fallible and could get it wrong, those are the people you're going to go with. Those are the people you're going to have to hire. Okay, even if they end up being really bad. Why? Because the analogy. You can see why it's important when you put it into things that have far more dire and more serious consequences. Suppose you need heart surgery. And where do you go? Now you have somebody who's done an undergraduate degree, went to med school, interned, specialized in heart surgery. Yeah, they can mess up. They could be a bad surgeon. It happens. Okay, what's the alternative? Well, suppose there's a 16-year-old kid that's like, well, I never did that stuff, but I've read all the books and I practice heart surgery on pigs. I can do it. They might actually be able to do it. Not a risk I'm willing to take. Statistically, that's probably not true. Like, you're probably going to die from. Does it mean the opposite category? Well, the surgeon therefore isn't going to mess. No, but like, so education's the same way. So the value I want to say of the degree is it's an objective kind of evidence that it's like, at least you went through this. I know. And those are the people I'm going to deal with and hire. And somebody who didn't go through this yeah, but I just don't know. It's way too risky. Anyways, that's my argument. All right, other questions. Oh, cool. I wrote the chair of the college. I mean, some issues with the bookstore. Like, man, I mean, it's been one of those weeks with this university. But I don't think it's something with this university in particular, the students there. I think it's probably, like, if I went back to teaching online asynchronous courses with Fullerton College, for example, I imagine I'd probably see the same kind of stuff. All right. We have a few minutes to go. Let's see what's going on. Mm. Yeah, we need tabs. We need as many tabs. All right, questions. Come on, guys. Oh, who's in Southern California? Orange County, Los Angeles. Who in the chat is in that area? I mean, it's not really I mean, it's a general enough area you don't have to worry about. You're gonna make an announcement, but I want to just see anybody in that area. I don't even read this article. Did everybody just leave? We have 70 viewers, only 51 likes. Make sure you like subscribe if you haven't. I don't know if they're pulling subscribe. Like, I'm stuck at like 14 something. Like, it's ridiculous. Come on. Tomorrow, the continuing education inquires and catechesis class. That is 6:30 p.m. Mountain Standard. That'll be 5:30 Pacific Standard. We'll do that. I need to all set up the link for that. It'd be good to see you guys. The class has been going really well. This will be our third class since we returned. I will be, for those of you in Southern California, Orange County, Los Angeles area, I will be in SoCal October. Hold on. I'm trying to pull up the. Every time I pull it up, it disappears. It's so crazy. 8th to part the 13th. I'll be serving Saturday night Vespers and Sunday Hierarchical Liturgy on the 12th. St. Stephen's Cathedral in Alhambra. So if anybody wants to attend and see you there. What else? Everybody just went silent. Radio silence. What's going on? You get to do a couple, maybe one or two more questions. And then we'll wrap it up for today. You know what? I need to refresh this. I bet you guys are writing something in the chat and I'm not seeing it. Sometimes it happens. I'm going to refresh the screen. Forgive me if you guys are writing stuff in there. Oh, and sometimes it just kind of gets locked and no new chats are kind of coming in until I refresh it. Guarantee you that happened. So I was like, why is everybody not talking? Let's see. Let's see if I'm right. Yep. Oh, man. That's weird, isn't it? We now know. Denny Kruger. Oh, wait, I'm behind. Rip gives a blessing for the coming of the catechumen. Everybody can get icons. You have to be baptized. I got my first icon. Actually having icons way before I is this it? Could be in the other room. There's so many icons that I can't even put them everywhere in the house. This one's great. St. Mark of Ephesus. Yeah, it must be in the other room. I was going to show you the very first icon that I ever got. It was many, many years before. Oh, this one. My very first icon I've ever got. With my, what would be my future godson, we were at Greek fast many, many years before we were Orthodox, and like, yeah, everybody should have holy things, holy images. Everybody should have a Bible. everybody should have. You don't need to be Orthodox to have any of those things. Oh, Dire Wolf. There's a great Dead song. See if I can remember how to play it. This one's for Jay. I don't know if I remember. I don't know if I've ever actually played it. It's like. Do you know what song I'm talking about? It's from Working Man's Dead. I think it's like. In the timbers of an area. Yeah. In the timbers of an area, the wolves are running round. Winter so hard and cold, frozen neath the ground. I can't remember. Let's look up what the chords are. I think I've got the chords wrong. Do you know what I'm talking about? Speaking about Dire Wolf. Holy smokes, B flat. I got that one. Yeah. In the timbers of Benario, wolves are running round. Winter so cold, hard and cold, froze 10 feet neath the ground. Don't murder me, I beg if you don't. Then it goes to you don't murder me, don't murder. I sat down my supper. I was a bottle of red whiskey. I said my prayers. I went to bed. That's the last they saw of me. Last they saw of me. And it goes B minor? No. A minor. Holy smokes. Don't murder me. If you don't murder me, don't murder me. That's this thing is wrong on the when I the dire 600 pounds of sin. Anyways, I'll practice. I've never played that before, so I thought you guys would get a kick out of. Ooh. Prequi, $5. Question: what should we do when we have to attend a non-Orthodox church's weddings, funeral? Yeah, you can attend those. I mean, don't participate in worship or anything like that, but you can be respectful. We're allowed to do that. Cassini, $5. Stream was cutting out. Father, you're going to be in Orange County? Yes. I'll be staying at my parents' house in Garden Grove. And then Saturday evening and then Sunday morning be in Alhambra at St. Stephen's Cathedral, and then yeah, guitar like it is always hit and miss. Thank you anyways, Destiny, but they're yeah, I gotta figure this out. That's a cool song though, huh? Barn dang dang. Starting to get better at it, huh? I sat down, was a bottle of red whiskey. I said my prayers, went to bed, let's say so. Don't murder me, you don't murder something like that. See, it was kind of walking. Oh, I got another one. I played this one last night. We worked out. It's a Beatles song. It's a cool song. It's I'm going to move it up on the capo because my voice seems better on an A minor. It's originally written in E minor. Is there anyone going to listen to my story? All about the girl who came to stay. She's the kind of girl you want so much it makes you sorry. Still you can't regret a single day. Oh girl, and when I think of all the times I tried to get to leave her, she will turn to me and start to cry. And the promise I earth to her, won't leave her. After all this time, I don't know why. Oh, girl. When you say we how's it go? She's the kind of girl who puts you down and turns around you. She said she's looking good, she acts as if she's understood. She's cool, oh girl. When she's told when she was young that couldn't lead to pleasure, did she understand it when she said that a man must break his back to earn his day of leisure? Will she believe it when he is dead? Oh, girl. Not bad, huh? It sounds much better in the A minor. What's another? Song. Doc Hollow. Doc. This can't be it. This isn't the full lyrics. What is going on here? Oh, it's the bluegrass version? Okay. It's like the walking on the... By the beach, some dark hollow, where the sun don't ever shine, than to be alone nowhere, knowing that you're gone will cause me to lose my mind. Oh, blow your whistle, freight train, on down that track, 'cause I'm going away. I'm leaving today. Well, I'm going, but I ain't I'd rather be in some dark hollow where the sun don't ever shine than to be in some big city with a small room with you on my mind. So blow your whistle, whistle freight train. Get me down that track. Well, I'm going away. I'm leaving. Yeah, I'm going, but I ain't coming back. Something like that. What do you think? What's the mic setting? Yes. It's this thing. It's the chord. Shady grove, I say, shady grove, my little love. Yeah, I gotta remember the lyrics. See this? Is it not fine now? It's the chord. It's. Wish I had a banjo string made of golden twine. Every tune I played on it, wish the grove was mine. Shady groves, little groves. Shady grove, I say, shady grove, my little love. I gotta remember the next lyric. Every time I come home, wife, I try to please her. The more I try, the worse she gets. I don't leave her. Shady grove, my little love. Shady grove, I say. Shady grove, my little love. Bound to go away. Some come here to fiddle and dance. Here to marry, Terry. I came here to fiddle and dance. I can't remember what's the lyrics on that. Some come here to fiddle and dance. Some come here to tarry. Some come here to fiddle and dance. I came here to marry. Shady grove, my little love. Shady grove, I say. Shady grove, my little love. You know what? I bet my mic's too high. That's why it's getting distortion. Let me bring it down. No, it's at 100. Let me just see if I can add. One second. Add noise suppression. How's this sound? Another. Does this sound better? No expression. I want that one. I want this one. Probably can't even see the lyrics on this. Remember, I was practicing one song. There's a lot of chord changes. Let's do... No one knows what it is like to be the bad man, to be the sad, behind blue eyes. No one knows what it's like to be hated, to be faded, to telling only lies. Where's it? Alright, I gotta pull up the chords. Sorry. There's a lot of chord changes. Do you like this song though? Behind blue eyes, chords. I can't read this, that's why. Why do I like this song so much? Then it goes to they are as empty as my conscience seems to. I have I've hours only lonely. My love is vengeance that's never free. Got it. No one knows what it's like to be the bad man, to be the sad man, be blue eyes. No one knows what it's like to be hated, to be faded, to tell an only lie. All's empty. It's my conscience seems only lonely. Vengeance ever. No one knows what it's like to feel feelings like I do, and I blame you. Back with heart and anger, none of my people ain't show through. But my name's empty. It's films. Lonely. My love is vengeance. It's never free. And it goes. When my fish branches crack it open, oh, I use it to lose my cold, and I smile, give me some bad news. Well, before I laugh and act like a fool. And if I swallow anything evil, put your finger down my throat. And if I shiver, please give me a blanket. Let me warm, let me wear your coat. No one knows what it's like to be a bad man, to be the sad man behind blue eyes. There we go. Got it. Finally got the song. Yes, The Who. Yeah, Limp Bizkit did. There's another one. Gotta remember the rhythm. Throughout history, there's been many songs written about the eternal triangle. The next one tells a story of Mr. Grayson, a beautiful woman, and a condemned man named Tom Dooley. When the sun rises tomorrow, Tom Dooley must hang. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, poor boy, you're gonna die. There on the mountain, there I took her life. There on the mountain, there I stabbed with my knife. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, poor boy, you're going to die. This time tomorrow, reckon where I'll be. Hadn't been for Grayson, I'd be in Tennessee. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, boy, you're bound to die. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, hang your head and cry. Hang your head, Tom Dooley, poor boy, you're going to die. Let's do Doc Watson. think that's it. Doc Watson. Deep River Blues. All right, ready? Then let it rain, let it pour, let it rain a whole lot more, 'cause I got them deep river blues. Let that rain rise and fall, let the wind make a wall, 'cause I got them deep river blues. Something like that. My old gal, good old pal, she looked like a water fountain. What's the next lyrics? When I'm deep with the blue, ain't no one to cry for me. The fish all go out on stream for the guy got the deep rhythm blues. Give me back my old boat, Uncle sail if she floats, 'cause I got the deep river blues. Going back to Muscle Shoals, time get better there on cold, 'cause I got the deep I messed up. River blues. Well, if my boat sinks with... I can't do it. I forgot the lyrics. You know that song. That's a Doc Watson song. Here's a good one. And then we'll end with this. First thing, it's too high. high, isn't it? First thing I remember knowing was a lonesome whistle blowing, a young man going up to ride on a freight train leaving town, not knowing where I'm bound, and no one could change my mind, but Mama tried. One rebel child from a family making my Let me start over. I got it. The first thing I remember knowing was a lonesome whistle blowing and a young dreaming growing up to ride on a freight train leaving town, not knowing where I'm bound, and no one could change my mind, but Mama tried. We're only a rebel child from a family making mild. My mama seemed to know what lay in store. Despite all my Sunday learning, toward the bad I keep on turning, till Mama couldn't hold me anymore. And I was 21 in prison, doing life without parole. Steer me right, but Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I did not. Leaves me to only blame, 'cause Mama tried. Dear Daddy, rest his soul, left my mom with a heavy load. She tried so very hard to fill his shoes. She's working hours without rest. She wanted me to have the best. She tried to raise me, but I refused. And I turned 21 in prison, doing life without parole. Steer me right, Mama tried to raise me better, but her pleading I did not. That leaves me to only blame, 'cause Mama tried. What do you think? All right, guys, let me see if there's any super chats, and then I'll let us depart in peace in the name of the Lord. Thank you, guys. Kind of fun playing a little. Maybe one more song. How about the Mando? Last song. Close it out. Off to California. Since I'll be going off to California. No wonder I was playing the wrong pick. I was like, what's... We can do fast. Something like that. Blackberry Blossom. All right. God bless you guys. Thank you so much for all your support and a fun stream. Good day. A good day indeed. And till next time, probably Friday, may the Lord bless you and keep you. Let his grace shine upon you and preserve you. Amen. Bye-bye, guys.